Welcome to the Blood and Truth channel, the place where dark mysteries and horrifying truths behind real-life cases are unveiled. Today, Blood and Truth will take you into a haunting story that took place in China in 2016, a case that shocked the entire community and left a profound lesson. The victim was a young, beautiful girl who, due to a few moments of carelessness, paid the ultimate price with her life. Join us as we unravel the layers of mystery surrounding this case. On December 20th, 2016, in Foshan City, Guangdong Province, one of China's bustling industrial hubs, the local police received an urgent call from a farming family in a poor rural area of Sichuan Province. They reported that their relative, a 20-year-old girl named Liu Yingtao, had gone missing without a trace for 2 weeks. Liu Yingtao, a name that evokes resilience and a desire to change her fate, had left her hometown to seek opportunities in the big city. But what caused her to vanish so mysteriously? Her family, despite past conflicts, could not believe that a responsible and caring girl like Yingtao would suddenly cut off contact without leaving any clues. Unanswered calls and unreplied messages plunged them into panic. Was this merely an impulsive decision of youth, or was there a terrifying truth waiting to be uncovered? According to the family, Liu Yingtao was the eldest daughter in the household. Due to serious conflicts with her parents over marriage, Yingtao left her hometown for Foshan in early 2016, finding work as a factory worker in an industrial zone. Since leaving home, she rarely contacted her parents, but regularly updated her younger sister, partly out of pride and partly because she had cut ties with her family. However, by mid-December 2016, nearly a month had passed since her last contact. The family tried calling, but her phone was always unreachable. Initially, they thought that with the Lunar New Year approaching, Yingtao might not want to return home and was deliberately avoiding them by turning off her phone. But by December 20th, after some inquiries, the family contacted fellow villagers who had left for the industrial zone to work with Yingtao since early 2016. After much effort, they found Yang Minfang, a girl from Pinghua village not far from Yingtao's rented room, and working at the same company. The family was shocked to learn that Yingtao had cleared out her rented room and abruptly quit her job in early December without saying goodbye or leaving any contact information. She left behind no valuable personal belongings, allowing the landlord to use or sell them cheaply. Upon hearing that Yingtao had suddenly vacated her room and quit her job, the family fell into extreme panic. Despite past conflicts that led to her being kicked out of the house, they knew deep down that Yingtao was not irresponsible or prone to rash decisions. Though young and occasionally impulsive due to family disputes, Yingtao had always been mature and thoughtful since childhood. She never let others worry about her. Even while living alone in a challenging and trap-filled city, she called her sister at least once a week to report she was safe. She often sent money home to her parents even though they never asked, and bought local specialties, warm clothes, or medicine for her sick grandmother. Yingtao was stubborn, but always responsible, so her sudden disappearance without a trace was alarming. The more they thought about it, the more the family sensed something ominous, even fearing she had encountered danger. Feeling increasingly uneasy, they filed a missing person report with the authorities. At the time of Yingtao's reported disappearance, the Foshan police had already noted several similar cases in the city. In recent months, at least 4 young women aged 18 to 25 had vanished without a trace. They shared common traits, all came from rural areas, worked in Foshan's industrial zones, and lived in cheap, secluded alleys. Initially, these disappearances were thought to be voluntary departures or job changes, but over time, no one could contact the victims and no new leads emerged before they were officially declared missing. Suspicions of a larger organization behind the cases began to form. Thus, upon receiving the report from Yingtao's family, the police immediately opened a case and launched an investigation. Based on family-provided information, the Foshan police contacted Yanghe Co. Limited, an electronics components manufacturer where Yingtao worked before her disappearance, and the landlord Huang Qiang at Alley 31 Dong Ward, Kunan Town, Foshan City. At Yanghe, the HR department confirmed that Yingtao did not submit a resignation, but abruptly stopped showing up for work on December 5th. Colleagues and supervisors tried contacting her to no avail. After visiting her rented room, they learned she had cleared out her belongings and moved elsewhere. After settling her November salary and deducting contract violation fees, the company transferred the remaining amount to her old account on December 10th. At Alley 31, the police contacted Huang Qiang, the landlord of the 5-room boarding house where Yingtao had rented for 10 months. Huang confirmed that Yingtao cleaned her room and left on the morning of December 5th. He recalled this clearly because she returned the key and asked him to keep some useful items, including valuables like a rice cooker fan and even an old phone. Although Huang Qiang cooperated with the authorities, experienced investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies in his statements. He claimed Yingtao packed and prepared to leave on the morning of December 5th, but neighbors were unaware of her departure. Many confirmed that from 5 p.m. on December 4th to the morning of December 5th, room 3 where Yingtao lived was locked from the outside and no one saw her leave. They only heard about it from Huang. Moreover, the 5-room boarding house was old with poor soundproofing. If Yingtao had packed her belongings on the night of December 4th when others were asleep, it was unlikely no one heard any noise. According to some female workers at the boarding house, they had noticed Huang's affection toward Yingtao. She had shared with the girl in room 4 that Huang often cooked and shared food with her and paid more attention to her schedule than others. Yingtao told Huang and her roommates she was an orphan with no family. Initially, both girls thought Huang was kind to her out of pity, treating her like a daughter. However, one day when a power outage at the industrial zone allowed workers to leave early, Yingtao returned to her room and caught Huang sniffing her underwear from the clothesline. She pretended not to see but was terrified. She shared this with the room 4 girl and they urged each other to be cautious and keep their distance from him. After identifying contradictions in Huang's statements, the police began suspecting his involvement in Yingtao's disappearance. On December 22, 2016, the investigation team executed a search warrant at Huang's private residence, a small room behind the boarding house. Huang lived alone in this 45-square-meter house with a private bathroom, bedroom, living room, and kitchen. Though small, it was fully equipped. During the search, police found many of Yingtao's personal belongings, which Huang claimed she left for him. In the bedroom, they discovered a sealed plastic bag under his pillow containing used women's underwear, with neighbors confirming over half belonged to Yingtao, who was the only tenant fond of wearing sexy lingerie like those found. Despite the house's old furnishings, a large newly purchased freezer in the kitchen seemed out of place. Inside were only pork bones and multiple layers of black plastic bags, frozen solid with blood stuck to the plastic, difficult to access. The amount of meat was unusually large. Sensing something amiss despite Huang's attempts to intervene, the police continued the search and took samples from the freezer for testing. During a random check upon opening the second plastic bag, the team found a human hand with intact fingers. Immediately after discovering the human hand, the investigation team sealed the scene and called for forensic and criminal technical teams to Huang's residence. The entire boarding house was locked down, and nearby residents were temporarily evacuated and asked to maintain absolute secrecy to aid the investigation. Within an hour, forensic experts retrieved all 17 large plastic bags from the freezer, conducting a preliminary analysis on site. All contained meticulously frozen dismembered human body parts mixed together. Fingerprint analysis on the frozen hand quickly confirmed the victim as Liu Yingtao, matching the biometric data provided by her family. The victim was identified as Liu Yingtao, 20, from a poor rural area in Sichuan. She was the eldest of 3 siblings in a farming family with unstable income. From a young age, Yingtao was accustomed to hardship and strived to overcome it. After high school, unable to afford university due to family circumstances, she worked to support her parents. Later, she was arranged to marry into a well-off family in her county. Seeing her beauty and obedience, they wanted her to marry their son and have children early. Her impoverished parents saw this as a rare opportunity to change their fate and pressured her. However, Yingtao rejected the arranged marriage, insisting she was young and wanted to work and live freely. The conflict escalated, and in anger, her father beat her and kicked her out. With a few clothes and savings, Yingtao left for Foshan, a city she heard offered stable factory jobs. She found work in the industrial zone and started a new life, rarely mentioning her family, claiming to be an orphan out of shame or to avoid the topic. The investigation recovered 17 plastic bags containing Yingtao's dismembered body from Huang's freezer. Due to the prolonged freezing and dismemberment, the autopsy was meticulous and complex. The remains were transferred to Foshan's forensic center, where experts thawed each bag in a special cold room to preserve tissue and injury evidence. Body parts, hands, feet, head organs, and bones were cleaned, arranged, and reassembled over nearly 10 hours under criminal investigation supervision. The team recovered 97% of the body, with some organs like the heart, lungs, and kidneys missing, possibly discarded elsewhere. Initial tests confirmed the victim was a female, approximately 20, about 1.65 meters tall, weighing 55 to 57 kilograms, matching Yingtao's description. DNA from soft tissue, hair, and nails matched her family's samples with 99.9% accuracy. A 6 centimeter skull fracture with slight intracranial bleeding was found on the left temporo-occipital region, likely from a blunt object causing temporary unconsciousness but not death. The direct cause of death was strangulation, evidenced by deep circular bruises on her neck, a fractured hyoid bone, and crushed cartilage, indicating a large soft object like a cloth was used. Symmetrical bruises and abrasions on her wrists and ankles suggested she was bound while alive. Severe genital trauma, including a 9 centimeter tear, and male semen confirmed repeated rape before her death. No toxins or drugs were found, and her stomach contained undigested instant noodles, indicating death 1 to 3 hours after eating between 10 p.m. on December 4th and 2 a.m. on December 5th. The police focused on the bathroom and kitchen as likely dismemberment sites, as such an act required space, water, and concealment of noise, odor, and blood. Despite Huang's use of deodorizer, UV light revealed clean blood traces in the bathroom. Under a kitchen sink, a 50 x 70 centimeter industrial cutting board showed deep scratches and human blood. 2 large bone-chopping knives and a wooden-handled knife from the kitchen were confirmed as dismemberment tools. A folded plastic sheet behind a gas canister stained with blood and grease was likely used to prevent floor contamination. All blood traces matched Yingtao's with 99.9% accuracy, and Huang's fingerprints were on the bags, knives, and cutting board. Semen in Yingtao's body matched Huang's with 99% accuracy. Initially, Huang denied the crimes and remained calm during detention. Only when confronted with irrefutable evidence and a detailed crime scene reconstruction did he confess. Huang Qiang, born in 1967, age 49, was not a serial killer or linked to the other 4 missing girls. Described as quiet, clean, and solitary, he grew up in a poor Guangdong family with 6 siblings, neglected and abused by an alcoholic father. After his mother's early death, he left home at 15, working odd jobs like dishwashing and construction. A brief romance with a market vendor ended when she left him for his lack of prospects, leaving him emotionally stunted. He later drove trucks, saved money, and by 2011 bought a small house and the boarding house in Foshan. After a back injury in 2014, he retired early. When Yingtao rented a room in 2016, claiming to be an orphan, she became the object of his obsession. Huang watched her closely, cooked for her, and fixated on her belongings, even stealing and mimicking her possessions. When she announced plans to move out in late 2016, his possessive urges erupted. On December 4th, knowing her schedule, He lured her to his house under the pretense of needing help with bus routes. Once inside, he restrained and raped her, later strangling her after she resisted. He dismembered her body in the bathroom, storing parts in a new freezer. At his trial on June 12, 2018, Huang faced charges of rape murder, corpse desecration, evidence destruction, and illegal entry. The court deemed his actions barbaric, driven by perverse obsession, and sentenced him to death, executed on May 23, 2019. This case is a chilling reminder of the dangers of unnoticed psychological abnormalities and societal indifference. What are your thoughts on this killer and case? Share below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Blood and Truth for more.